Hi, I'm Johnny, and on today's episode of the Hexy Beast, we're going to be taking a quick look at this game right here, The Magnificent by Aporta Games. Anyway, let's get it to the table. So this is The Magnificent. Expand your camp, gather resources and trainers, and set out marvellous shows featuring magnificent performers who can attract the largest audiences. Magnificent is a new strategy game from the creators of Santa Maria, combining innovative dice drafting and card mechanics with unique player powers. Draft dice to power your action, but don't be too greedy because better dice also means higher costs. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose a board. And as you can see, they both have an A and a B side. The A side is like a standardized setup, and the B side is a randomized setup. So we're just going to stick with the A side. Then we're going to set up this handy dandy little component tray that comes with the game. Take the lid off with all our components, and we're going to take one of each gem and place them on our player board, just like this. Also, as you can see here, we're supposed to get 6 coins and 1 trainer. So let's do that now. And here's my money, and for today's game I have chosen to go with the red top hat. So I'm going to be red, and that means that my trainer that I get also is going to be red. Okay, so then we take one of our top hats and put them on space 1 of the performance track. And because we're playing a solo game, we also take 1 top hat of each colour and place them on 6, 10 and the 16th space of the performance track. They're basically blocking spaces, making sure we have to reach certain thresholds when it comes to performance. But I'll talk about that later. Okay, so now we're going to take the disc that matches your player colour and we're going to place it on the 0 space of the score track by here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 wagon meeples and we're going to place them on the highlighted spot on their corresponding colour track. So the purple wagon's going to go here, green's going to go here, and orange, whoops, is going to go here. Then we're going to randomize all these 10 tokens and remove one and put it back in the box because there's only 15 slots in the game, and I'll show you where to put them now. Okay, so now we're going to take those tokens all randomized and place them on each one of these spaces with these cards on them on all of these traveling tracks, just like this. Then we're going to take all these master cards denoted by the M on the back, and we're going to place the deck here and deal 1 into each space below, just like so. Then we shuffle up all these trainer tokens and put them in a pile next to the deck, and then deal 1 into each of these spaces next to the cards, just like this. And these will basically be acquired between rounds throughout the game. Okay, so now it's time to choose our starting poster, and we're going to randomize these and take 1 off the top and place it in this first tent on our board. And then we're going to shuffle the rest of these black backed posters and we're going to put them by here as the poster deck throughout the game. We're then going to deal 4 into these spaces next to it, just like this, and we're going to be acquiring these as various bonuses throughout the game. Okay, and now we get to pick our starting trainer action, which is going to be one of these 2. We draw 2 and pick 1. I'm going to take this extra gem one, and I'm going to place that in this space on my player board. Then we're going to take 1 dice of each colour plus 2 clear ones and place them on this tent to be rolled at the start of the round. Okay, now on to the final part of setup where we draw 6 cards off the top of here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we got to choose 4, which are going to be our actions in round 1. So I'm going to take this one because I like it, because it means I get the score for my tents. I'm going to take this one, which allows me to score for big pieces. I think I'm also going to take this one, which is from its top power is going to give me +2 to any orange dice I use. I'll explain what all this is about in a minute. And I think I'm going to take this +2 green as well. I've just put the ones that I didn't choose in a discard pile by here. Okay, so what you're going to be doing in the Magnificent is trying to score the most victory points. And you're going to do this by drafting dice and taking actions. And the 3 actions you can take are either to build, to travel, or to perform. And basically, the build action will allow you to take these polyomino pieces, based on the amount of power you have, in order to cover up bonuses on the board and receive them when you cover them up. As well as that, we have the travel action, which is basically we get to move in a clockwise direction around these boards. If we land on one of these, we get to cover up one of the tent spots on our board, and we also get to collect any of the gems that we pass over on our way to our destination. And the third action we can do is to do a performance, which is where we basically get to score these posters, but only if we have the tents below them in order to perform them in the first place, and the power on the performance track. You've also got to be careful of our money, because at the end of a round, we are going to score based on the highest value dice and any wild dice we use. But anyway, let's just get on with some turns. It'll all make sense once I get playing. Okay, so rolling the dice for round 1. And let's see what we got. We got this 4, 2 thing, and a 2. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do for my first turn. I'm looking at the fact that we've got quite an easy poster to perform, if we do choose to do it. And we can gain quite some money. I think what we should do is actually start with the build action. So I'm going to take this purple 4 and place it by here, giving me a purple power of 4 points. Plus, I'm going to gain this bonus, so that gives me another coin. Okay, I said I was going to use a build action. So first thing we need to do is reference this table. So for 3, I can build a small building, or for 5, I can build a big building. Seeing as for 7, we can actually build 2 more, 2 of the little ones. What I'm thinking I might do is spending one of the purple gems for 2, and then this wild gem so that we have a total power of 8. We have to spend at least 1 gem of the same colour, or a wild one. So now we've got a power of 8. That means we are actually going to get 2 of the small buildings, which are these little purple L-shaped things by here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to place them somewhere on the board. To start off with, we can choose anywhere, but after that they all have to connect orthogonally. So the first space I'm going to get to is, I think I'm actually going to cover this one up here, which is going to get me 2 coins instantaneously, because I've covered up that 2 coin space bonus. And I think the next one I'm going to put is going to be right underneath by here, because I fancy one of these clear crystals, which I'm going to add by here. We can only hold up to 3 crystals of any kind. Anything that we gain on top of that is going to be worth 1 coin to us. Okay, so looking at the amount of crystals we got, I think our best bet for our next action would be to travel. So let's do that now. And I think I'm going to use this green 5 to do it. So I'm going to place that on this card, giving it a +2 bonus. This is going to be good because it means we get to move 7 spaces when we travel. Okay, so because we are taking a travel action with 7 power, it means we're going to be able to move 7 spaces clockwise. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Meaning, because we finished on this tent, we're going to be able to gain this token, and I'll explain that in a second. But the first thing to remember, and I like to put a crystal here just so I don't forget when I'm counting it, is that we're also going to gain the crystals in between. We're not going to gain these unless we land on them. That means we're also going to gain 2 green crystals, a purple and an orange. Okay, so that's 2 green, a purple, and an orange. Also, don't forget we get to take this here too. And now that we've cleared this space off, anytime we pass this, we're going to get a new poster for free. Okay, so now that we've got this thing, this will not only allow us to play 2 posters when we do the perform action, but will also allow us to gain one of these bonuses by here. And I think right now, our best option would be to place it here to gain 2 coins and a new poster. So let's get our 2 coins, and I'll go show you how posters work now. Okay, so anytime you would gain a poster, you can choose to either have one of these face-up ones or take one from the top of the deck. And in this case, for our poster, I think I'm going to take this one. You can see the rewards at the bottom. They vary in point value, and sometimes you'll get money, and often some of them will have a cost of gems as well as the shapes associated on them. It's also important to remember that for each poster you complete in the perform action, you can only use each of these once. So you can't say have 2 posters with one of these if you've only got one of these purple L shapes on your player board. It'll make more sense in a minute. So I'm going to take this Larissa action. So whenever you take a card out of the display, you will replace it with a new card. And I can place these posters wherever I want, but I'm actually going to place it above this tent because I know if I ever do get to perform it, I am going to get 5 points for it, plus the 3 on my tent. So that's going to be a good winner for me. Okay, so for the third action of the first round, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to draft this clear 4. And I'm going to use it as a green build action. You must always declare the wild dice, the colour, before you use the action. So what I'm going to do is, because of this, it's going to allow me to change it to any number I want. And basically, because a large green is going to cost me 5, I've changed it to a 5. So now I'm just going to place one large green building as part of my building action. And I think where I'm going to place it is actually going to be by here, because that's going to gain me 2 coins and a new poster. And looking at what's available, I'm just going to take one off top of the deck this time. Oh, it's another Larissa. And I'm just going to place this one by here. I'm not going to be able to perform it because I haven't got a tent underneath, but it'll be useful in the next round, hopefully. Okay, so that leaves us with one more action for this round. And I think I'm actually going to take this orange 2 here. And I'm going to place that 2 by here, which is going to give it a +2, which is going to give it a 4. And because it's an orange, I think I'm going to use it for a perform action. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take 2 of these orange gems and spend them for an extra 2 power each, making that 4 and 8. And you'll see why in a second. So now, because I have 8 power, I can actually move my performance tracker up here, which means, as you can see, I will now get to perform 2 shows. So let's get back to the board and perform those shows. So as you can see, I've actually got all the requirements needed to perform both these 2 shows. Also remember, when I get to that point, I'm going to gain both their bonuses. So I'm actually going to score both of these cards for a total of 4 coins and 8 victory points. So let's do that now. So let's get rid of these. So that's 4 coins. 4 coins. And 8 victory points. So we're finally off the start. And that means it's the end of the round. Okay, so the first thing we need to notice when we do the end of the round, based on where I am on the performance track, it'll decide which of these I can claim. So because there's one below me, that means I can claim from the bottom 2. If I was down here, I would only be able to have this bottom 1. If I was above another piece further up, I'd be able to take the third one and below. And if I was above the top piece, I'd be able to take from any of them. And we can choose from any of these bottom 2. So what I'm going to choose is this combo here. I'm going to take this one and this one. So I'm just going to place this by here. And then what we're going to do before we decide whether we're going to keep this action is choose to score one of these bottom actions and discard it. But we can't do any of that until after we've actually paid our rent. In which case it's going to be the highest value colour, which is this green 5 here, plus the number of any dice used, in which case we owe them 10 coins. So before we can do anything else, let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10 coins. That's how much it's going to cost us for everything we've done this turn. If we ever run out of coins, it's actually going to deduct points from us based on what round it is. So in round 1, it's going to deduct 1 point per coin below 0 we go. On round 2, it's going to be -2, and on the final round, it's going to be -3. So it's always worth keeping an eye on your money. This means we're going into the next round with 7 coins. Anyway, let's just score one of these. So now that we've come to the end of the round, we're going to be able to score one of these bottom conditions. And I think I'm actually going to go for this one. It's based on what's on my board. It seems to be able to get me the most points. Because we've got 10 by there and 10 by here. Yeah, we're going to score this one. So what I'm going to do, this one says basically that I get 5 points per 1 tent I've got on my board. And as you can see, I've got 2. So that's going to give me 10 victory points, moving me up to 18. We also at this point refresh this offer, just like so. Also, between all rounds, we collect all trainers we used. We didn't use any in round 1, but I'm going to show you how to use them in round 2. And we get to rearrange the posters however we like. And I think I'm actually going to move this Larissa to by here, ready to score for the next round. As you can see now, we've also got a different action moving into round 2, which is going to allow us to have +2 on any purple we place here. Anyway, let's just gather all our dice, roll up, and get ready for the next round. Also, don't forget to reset the performance track. And here we go, time to roll the dice again. Oh, let's see what we got. Our colours, yeah, and our clears. One thing I can do in the solo game, if I so chose to, would be able to discard a poster in order to add a dice of its colour to the pool. So if I was to discard this Larissa, I would be able to add this dice to the dice pool. But I'm not going to do that. So let's just put her back. Okay, at the start of my turn, I'm going to use my trainer to gain a white crystal. And I'm going to use my purple 4, which I got here. It's going to get a +2 for 6 power to perform a build action, which is going to allow me, because I've got 5 power or more, to build one of these large purple buildings. And where shall I build it? Okay, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to build it right by here so I can get an extra 3 victory points. That's 1, 2, 3 victory points. Okay, and for my next action in round 2, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this travel action here for 7. So because I used a green dice to perform a travel action, it means I'm going to be traveling on this, and I'm going to be going for 7 spaces because I have a +2, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which basically means I am going to get a purple, 2 greens and an orange. So that's 1 purple, 2 greens, but because we got 4 greens, we're actually going to get 2 coins instead. And 1 orange gem. There we go, that's our travel all done. Okay, so I'm going to use this clear 5, and I'm going to say it's a purple 5. It's going to give me 1 coin. I'm going to use it for a build action, which is going to get me a large purple building. And I'm going to be placing this right by here, which is going to get me another trainer. So I'm just going to grab a trainer and place it in my play area. Okay, so might as well talk about these spaces since I'm about to use one. These are basically the same as the trainer spaces I've been getting on the board, but these are permanently on the board. So for example, this one, I could spend 2 money to gain a poster. This one would allow me to build in any colour. We got this one which changes the direction of travel. We got this one which allows you to reshuffle when you take a perform action. So they're generally all pretty good. Right now I'm going to be using this one, and you'll see why right now. Because we've got an orange 1 left in the dice pool. I'm going to use this one to flip a dice, and in this case it's going to turn my orange 1 into an orange 6. And I'm going to use this orange 6 in this space for a +2, and I'm going to use it for a perform action. So that gives me a performance value of 8, meaning I can perform at the 2 posters. But as you can see, I've only got 1, so I'm going to perform this one. And we do have all the bits we need, and it's going to gain us 6 points +3 for our tent. So that's 9 points, taking us to 30. Okay, so at the end of round 2, and that's going to cost me 11 in rent, which is 1, 2, 3. Oh, we've only got 10. So what we're actually going to happen is we're going to lose 2 points. Ouch. Okay, and the MasterCard and Trainer Action combo I'm going to choose this turn is this one, which when I place a dice on it will allow me to spend a jewel of any colour for 2 coins. And this also gives me +1 poster when I'm performing. Nice. So I'm just going to place that there. And I think this time I'm going to score this one, which is 3 points per coloured gem I got, not including the wilds, to a maximum of 7. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be 18 points for me. So that's plus 18 points, bringing us to 46. Okay, so basically at the end of round 3, you're basically going to do the same, but instead of, you're not going to be taking the trainer action, you're only going to be taking the card. And this is because in endgame scoring, things are a little different. I'll explain endgame scoring now, and then I'm going to go to my thoughts. Okay, let's pretend it's the end of the game, and now we're going to do endgame scoring. The way this would work is that you would score all of your remaining end of round goals at half their points. And then what you would do is you would also add up 1 point for every 5 coins you have left over. And for each one of these 9 spaces you fill up in your player board, you also gain another 4 points. It's also worth noting that you can use these gems to fill spaces at the end of the game so that you can claim extra territories, or shall I say squares, sections of this player board. So it means that if we really wanted to, we could have this full middle section here by putting some gems in there to block it up. So basically that would then give you a final score, and what you're trying to do is beat 200 points to actually win the game, which is quite a challenge. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the table and I'm going to tell you what I think. Okay, so now that you've seen how the game is played, it's time for me to tell you what I think. And first of all, I just want to say for aesthetics, I've decided to give this one a 9 out of 10. Because personally, I just find the look of the game, it's just really nice. It just really feels stylish to me. It's one of those games that sort of has that nice sort of Art Deco, sort of 1920s, high society sort of feel to it. It feels kind of posh when you're playing it. The dice are nice. I thought the tokens were nice and thick and they slot together really nicely. The player boards were really nicely laid out, so overall it got a 9 out of 10 for aesthetics. And that brings us on to gameplay. And in this category, it scored an 8 out of 10. I really enjoy the decisions you're left to make, and the fact that you only have 4 turns per round and there's only 3 rounds in a game means you have really got to be really efficient and really think about that optimization puzzle. I will say that sometimes the dice can feel like they're against you because you just can't get those powerful performances out that you really need in order to get a lot of points. And to be honest, I've never actually beat that score threshold of 200 that it suggests in the game, but I just keep coming back for more. I find it has a game length that's just about right because of that really tight turn limit. Anyway, that was gameplay and it got a 8 out of 10 for gameplay. So, moving on. Okay, so that brings us round to accessibility. And in this category, it scored an 8 out of 10. And that's mainly because, although it was actually very easy to learn and was only like 5-6 pages in the rulebook, I'm sure, I did find it was a bit jarring to find the reference for the end of round scoring on the back and these icons, but I had to flick 2 pages back to see what all those trainer spaces did. It was a minor inconvenience, and like I said, it ain't going to lose many points over it, but that's the main reason why it only got an 8 out of 10 for accessibility. I was tempted to give it a 9 because I found it was actually really easy to follow, but having to check on those references and flipping back and forth kind of made it lose a point. Anyway, that was accessibility. That's 8 out of 10. It's time to move on to the total score. And that means that the Magnificent by Porter Games has a total score of 8.3 out of 10. That's a really good score from me. I think a game that it would compare to well is the Isle of Cats, although I have to say that for me, this one comes out on top. Anyway, if you like what you see here or fancy adding something to your collection from on the shelf behind me, please feel free to check out the link to Firestone Games in my description. Anyway, I've been Johnny, you've been watching the Hexy Beast. If you like what you see here, please feel free to smash that subscribe button up there. Check out another one of my videos up here. Anyway, thanks for watching, and most of all, stay hexy everyone.